Alright, welcome to episode 55.5 of What If Civilization Started Over. In the last episode then, we saw the conclusion to the 7 Years' War, or World War Zero, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, we're going to do the peace treaty in this episode, which is pretty cool. But yeah, not all of it. I'm going to just show you the borders as I draw them, but not as I draw them, because I'm way too picky on drawing borders. So that should be fun. Also, if you haven't already subscribed, I would consider doing it. You know, I'm trying to hit 150 subscribers, so it would definitely be a nice thing to do, and maybe it would make you feel better. So I don't know, it would make me feel better. Anyway, let's go to the first border, because I tried to previously record this and I failed the recording somehow, so that was clever. So I've already drawn the German border for annexations in Canada. So what we see happening here is the Germans annex all of these territories, the English get these random islandy sort of bits, and yeah, this is pretty good for the Germans because now they can expand out into the rest of Canada without having to go around, which is what they really didn't want to do, but they wanted to expand their colony. Over to Poland then, what they're going to be getting is just a few little bits. They don't really care that much. So they're going to get this island over here, and that's literally it. The Polish did not care about this territory at all. As for the rest of this territory, we're going to come back here in a second. But first off, what we need to do now is go over here to the Irish colony. So I'll be back there in a second. Alright, now we're back to that. So I've drawn a few borders here in for the Irish colony. As you can kind of see, they just gained these few areas from the Irish territory, and the rest of it is just going to be staying like this until we get the English round. And what England's going to be doing is being allowed to annex all of this. It was kind of in return for them not annexing any of the stuff from the Germans, just being nice to the Germans. So that's how they got all of that. However, the Dutch will be allowed to take over the Irish Cuba, and also Spanish Jamaica. So we'll get around to the rest of the Spanish colony in a second. I'll be back in a bit. And now we can do the Spanish part of the peace treaty. So what we see happening here is that the Dutch will be taking all these northern, like Honduran, Nicaraguan territories. Oh yeah, I showed them getting Jamaica and Cuba, so that's fine. We need to move down to the south a little bit, and also over here west, because France and Carthage will be establishing their own empires over here in this region. Okay, so the French will be taking over all of the sort of Colombian slash Andean territories, which is quite a lot of stuff, really. They also take over the Galapagos Islands, of course, and all the other islands in this area, which I didn't intend to clear in, but I am now. Whilst the Carthaginians, which are a country that hasn't really done anything since like episode 23, they're actually doing stuff again, and they will take over all of this pretty large northern part of the colony, where there's loads of oil, but nobody cares about oil yet, so that's kind of bad. And also get the rest of the Spanish Caribbean territories in Haiti and Puerto Rico and the Lesser Antilles. So here's our new map of America. Looks pretty different, but it should be pretty cool. It's not quite finished, but there's like one more change. And now we can head over to Europe, so let's do that. As the first change we're making here in Europe, we have the English now becoming the British as they annex the Isle of Man and the rest of Scotland. I think they owned a little bit of it. So they get all of this territory, including the Orkneys, Shetland, and Faroe Islands. Yeah, the Faroe Islands should be British. We've got a few more changes to make to the British Isles in a second, so we're back with that. So back here in Ireland, then you can see that the yellow Irish country is now gone, and it's been replaced with this new published one. So that's pretty cool. They're also going to be moving the capital city from where it was previously in, don't know what's over there. It's in Connaught, but they're going to be moving it now into a different part of the country. Obviously, that's how it works, which is going to be this this central part of the country right here. So that's cool. It's just because it's a new government. And by new government, we actually do need to go over here to the ideology layer, because the Irish country's ideology is getting replaced. Give me a sec for that. And as I said in the video, the Irish country has now got a new military dictatorship. So this is a military dictatorship, and the dictatorship color is going to be this, but this is a military version. So there's some slight changes. I might change the color in the future. Tell me if I should change it. I don't know. Anyway, we can go into a different part of the world now. And in fact, what we are going to be doing is looking at Spain. I got rid of the Spanish Civil War thing, but we can kind of go over that in a second. Give me a sec. So at the moment, this is kind of how the Spanish Civil War looks. It would kind of change a little bit more as the Civil War continued. However, you know, we're going to get a border drawn. So I'm going to draw that in a second. I think these are the colours I'm settling on. I'm not really sure. There's also the Democratic Republican Catalonia, which we've got up here, so that's different. Alright, so here are the new borders I've decided on for Spain. Also, I've got like the audio thing on my phone. Hopefully this records the audio, because this is going to be so janky. If I try and put it together, it's going to be really, really bad. Anyway, so these, the Northern Spanish will be keeping the capital city, of course, in the old capital of the Spanish country, whilst this one will move its capital all the way over to this city, and the Catalonians are going to put their capital right here. So we can go with that layer, and it looks something like this, so that's kind of cool. I don't know how I feel about the borders. They're pretty good, I would say. Maybe not this one. I don't really like how this country looks, but actually, I can just change it because I control everything that happens. So give me a sec. Okay, so that might look a little bit better. We can also go over to the ideology layer over here. I do not like how that... Why does the block look so weird? That is bizarre. Anyways, you can see me do ideology, I suppose. I just go into this layer because, as you can see, it's all blacked out there. So we can delete this box. Go over to this one, empty rectangle, and you can just draw this rectangle here. Draw another one here. I mean, size 7 is a bit big for the outer size of the thing. You know, it's alright. And then I'm also going to draw one for Catalonia. I've just made them one smaller for some reason. As for the ideologies in these countries, of course, these two main ones, they're both going to be monarchies. This is the one led by the guy with no arm, one arm. And this is the younger guy. And as for the Catalonian country, as I mentioned before, they are a democracy. Rather cool. I don't remember which colour I made democracy, but I think it could have been this one. To be honest, I have absolutely no idea. So what are you making them? This colour. This colour. I have zero clue. What colour did I make these guys? Okay, this is... I hate it when it does that. But they... Okay, it's the same colour apparently. I'm trying to find a good colour for democracy, and I can't really find a great one anywhere. Which is kind of a shame, because I kind of hoped I would. That's not great really either, is it? No. There you go, that's alright. So we have the new ideologies of this area. As you can see, Morocco and Sardinia are the true remaining remnants of Spain. No, they're not. We're going to get to them in a second, but we also need to look at the French annexations of some of these territories as well. So give me a minute for that. Alright, so here are the new borders we've worked out with France. So they've pretty much got the old border that the old French had. I used the word old, but it's not quite, because I changed it just for fun. And also they've added some territory from where the Catalonians had, and they've expanded their coast a bit. Well, it's actually France in real life, I think. Anyway, that's pretty cool. So there's that. Alright, now we're going to move on to the matter of southern Savoy country, which you're going to be dividing, of course, through the French, the Italians, and the Hungarians, because otherwise Hungary's not going to get anything. No, only joking. Let's get to that in a second. Alright, so I've already annexed a few areas into Italy, because it took me kind of a long time to work out this border. So the Italians are getting an absolute load from this peace treaty, and that's... what's going on? I don't know. That's because it would look really, really horrible. It would look just so intensely horrible if they didn't get a load from dividing this country. So that's why that's happened. But yeah, Italy really has expanded very far west, so that's pretty cool. They're also going to be annexing the Savoy territory in Sardinia, and we can also go to Italy in a second. Give me a... So here's our new border in Italy. You kind of knew what the southern Italians look like anyway. I mean, the Croatians are really in the way of the northern Italians at this point. But the northern Italians will be gaining the island of Sardinia as well as the island of Corsica, whilst the Turkish expand their empire even further west, taking over southern Italy, Sicily, and also Malta. So that's cool, I guess. I also forgot about Carthage, so I guess we're going to do them. And we're also going to remove these blobs from the ocean. So let's do that and get to the Carthage peace treaty. Alright, so we're back here in Spain. We're already in Spain, so we're going to go to Morocco and add their capital city into this city again. Yeah, I've got a funny map here. Anyway, so the Carthaginians will gain a bit of territory westwards, going into northern Morocco. So the Moroccans are kind of sad that they lost that stuff. However, you got liberated by these guys, so, you know, don't really feel like you can be angry against them. Anyway, we also see the Moroccans annex the Canary Islands, whilst there's a treaty enacted over the other territories in these West Atlantic areas, East Atlantic, where the blue team will annex the Azores, and the Cape Verde Islands will go to the pink team. So, cool. At least they're friendly. They go along with that in a friendly sort of way. Already Western Europe looks crazy. Look at the French. The French look pretty awesome. And now we need to head over to the Swedish and divide up their empire. So this should be pretty fun. If I can... This box just never comes up. Actually, that was way simpler than I thought it was going to be. All the Germans do is just push the border slightly further north. And that's literally it. The Dutch don't gain anything from this. They just have the Germans get some more land. And also take the island of Bornholm. So there's that. And now we can go over to the division of this territory, which should be pretty simple, I would say. Alright, so we're back. We can see the Polish will take over all of this territory, along with these islands. They've actually pushed the border even further northwards into like Estonia, and also parts of Russia, and the Ukrainians just get that. Why did the Ukrainians get so little? Well, it's because I don't like ugly borders, so that's what happens there. Poland looks pretty cool. This country, you're kind of in the way. You're in between like a load of really strong countries, so you might be in danger soon, Mr. Romania guy, or Transylvania. And now we can go over to this map, because we need to grab Finland, and also, no, damn it, Finland, and also Norway. So this should be pretty predictable what we're going to do here, so I'll be back in a second. Alright, so we're back here in Scandinavia, and as you can see, the Finnish and Norwegian countries have got a lot of stuff. So the Norwegians get all of this territory, and the Finns will be able to annex all of this back, which puts them in between two really big red countries. So that's kind of scary if you're Finnish, unless you like red countries, in which this is good. This is like ideal for you. Anyway, the Swedes have lost a lot of their stuff, a majority of their territory, in fact, including Denmark, which will also be lost all the way up to here to the Norwegians. We can also go in and look at more Baltic territories with the islands of Ireland, or however you pronounce them. I feel like I always say that. I should look up how to pronounce these stupid islands. But they go over to the Finns, and yeah, things are basically just bad in Sweden now. We can also go up here to the Svalbard Islands, which will be going over to the Norwegians, of course. Yeah, Norway's a pretty strong country now, and they will take over all of this stuff. We can also go over to Iceland, which goes over to Norway, along with the Greenland territories, which also do. And after that, we can see the rest of the Canadian colony will go over to Norway. So at this point, Norway is an absolute freaking beast. This is a country that has been kind of downtrodden across lots of the history, lots of their history. I might darken the color slightly. I feel like that might be a good idea. You know, there was a previous Norwegian country, and it was brown, and it really did nothing. And then we've had this one, and it did existed before, and you know, they kind of like this country existing, and then it didn't exist anymore. But it's back now, and it should hopefully do some cool stuff, because it's about to get involved in some cool alliance things. Anyway, we also need to go over to the city layer, because this country is going to need its capital back. Where did I put its previous capital? There, okay. I guess I'll put it there then. There's your capital. Also, the brush is on 900, so that's pretty high. And there we go, the Norwegian capital's back. As for the Finns, I'm pretty sure I know where they're. No, I don't. Oh, it's right here. Cool. Alright, so we have both of those countries restored into existence. The Norwegians definitely got a better peace deal than the Finns did. I feel like that's kind of obvious. The Norwegians were definitely liked more. And we can now head over to the ideology layer. Wait. Sorry. Oh my god, it always scares me. I'm like, what is going on? You already saw me do this, didn't you? So it's going to be pretty quick. The Norwegians will, of course, be a monarchy, like literally everyone else who's ever existed. So that's fun. Damn it. Oh, I did it in the wrong layer. Right, give me a sec. I think something important to note, because I was just saying about how every country is a monarchy. There will be a point in this series in which there are very few monarchies left in the world. So that's kind of an exciting idea to think about. So yeah, maybe treasure the monarchies whilst we've got them. Also, we need to get rid of these things, because you're not here anymore, and neither are you. There's a few absolute monarchies remaining in Western Europe, but most of them are gone. I mean, the Irish are absolute monarchy, but now they're a military dictatorship, so that's arguably worse. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that is the peace treaty of World War Zero done. So yeah, there's still a little bit more stuff that needs to be covered, but we're not going to cover that yet. We're going to cover that in the next episode, and I'm talking about India, because something pretty interesting is going to happen in this general circle. So see if you can guess what that's going to be. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Hope you enjoyed the peace treaty video, and subscribe. Bye.